they were on strike and didn't let us know. Yeah, Frito-Lay, boy, they pay, their wages are okay, but they can do better as well because they have a monopoly, especially just Frito-Lay. We ain't talking about PepsiCo. But Frito-Lay, they have a monopoly on the chip aisle. If you're going down any chip aisle, you're gonna see mostly Frito-Lay products. Yeah, Will, how you doing? Says they are going to give those jobs to immigrants. That could be it. That really could be what we'll see, right? But we know that anytime you try to cross a picket line, that they are really aggressive. So I don't know. They'll probably have a hell of a time trying to do that, but it remains to be seen. Mickey, how you doing? Says the workers may be overplaying their hand. The full-time alliance will probably use the effects of the strike to justify automation in some capacity and eventually displace the workers. I mean, they could, but right now they came to the table with 50% over 6 years, although they're asking for 77%. But how soon will they be able to implement this automation? It's going to take them some time. I would venture to say years for them to implement that. So they are between a rock and a hard place now. They being the U.S. Maritime Alliance, because they know the workers got them over a barrel. And I think most people should be demanding that you guys stay off automation, because then what happens to the humans, right? A lot of those people, especially on the docks and this various kind of jobs, they've been doing that forever. So to talk about, let them go get retrained, and actually Andrew Yang spoke to this, says because the trucking industry is also slated to go automation. So he said to tell truckers, okay, well, just go learn about AI. He said some of them people have been doing it for years, and their brain is not going to be to that where I'm just going to sit down and learn how to, code and do a whole host of other things. So those jobs do need to be protected. Hey, Fee Funkerson, who else came on here? Then I'm going to give it to Donovan. I think I had got down to the bottom of the comments. Let's see. DJ Cool, Chris, how you doing? Says, man, the migrants is about to show up in a community close to those same docks. Yeah, they might. Valerie, how you doing? Says, we will not be getting a president that will be bringing in that corporate greed. That is hurting all of us. No president will check corporate America. You're absolutely right. I mean, especially Joe Biden, who is said to be a big-time corporatist. Walt, how you doing? Says, hi, Demetra. Have you heard about what Candace Owens is finding out about Kamala Harris, and what do you think about it? Yes, I have heard about it. I think it's very interesting. That I even said, I don't agree with Candace on a whole lot of stuff, but hell, she might even find out who killed JFK at the rate she going, because she doing her homework. So we'll see. Basically, she's asserting that Kamala Harris is not black. She's going all the way up and through that lady family tree, and she's like, I'm seeing a whole lot of white people up in here. So Thunder, how you doing, Maureen? How you doing? Rain, what's going on with you? Let's see here. Who else came on here? I think I got to the bottom. Thunder says, did you see how they beat the trash man? What the F? No, I didn't see that. What happened with that? He says, the only port I've ever been at was in Kuwait for Army. Okay, Marjorie, how you doing? Mad Dog, what's going on with you? And Salami says, Amazon is all robot now. Nah, it is not. I know for a fact that it's not all robot. Eunice, how you doing, Donovan?
Hey, I am sorry. I am late. Had a VA appointment, but I am here. You did not send me the link because I was home. I've been home for like maybe 40 minutes now. That damn LA traffic.
I responded to you and you didn't respond back.
I'm looking at my messages. But anyway, I am glad to be here. You forgot to send it. I think your thing is kicking in. But here's the thing. I do not know why you guys are attacking the dock workers and doing all this other stuff, because according to Democrats and Kamala Harris, man, black unemployment is the best it's ever been. Oh my God, how dare you guys? Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all need to get an education. Let me educate y'all about the Democratic Party. Kamala went to a HBCU. She went to Howard. Her daddy's Jamaican. The Democratic Party is the party of labor. What more do y'all want? Where do y'all think y'all living? Wait, are you guys actually out there seeing for yourself what is going on in your world? Are you guys actually doing the homework rather than listening to these bootlegs tell you everything is fine? Oh my gosh. How many of you guys have read or are familiar with the Communist Manifesto? How many of you guys are familiar with that? Dimitri's familiar with it. I'm familiar with it. And I'm very sure you guys are familiar with it. How many of you guys studied the Russian Revolution? You guys have probably heard of it. Russian Revolution, they go communist based on the Communist Manifesto, so on and so forth. Before the Russian Revolution, what took place before the Russian Revolution that scared the crap out of everybody in Europe? The French Revolution and the rise of Napoleon. I bring up the French Revolution because it's very, very interesting of where we're at here in America. What was the common similarities between the Russian Revolution and the French Revolution? I can tell you this. When the people are poorer than the dirt that they work, they have no other option but to rise up against the bureaucracy and the ruling class. They have no other option other than to do that. When that happens, the rise of a strong man happens. Who do we have that people keep saying is a strong man? Donald Trump. Why is it that the people who rise up against all of these autocrats and these super rich people, corporations, whatever you want to call them, the people at the very bottom support strong man wholeheartedly? What do you think is happening here in America? I was talking to a friend of mine on my way back from the VA, and they were talking about how this, not getting this, they're not getting that, they're not getting this, right? And the bottom line is this: we are facing a very serious situation. It doesn't matter who wins in November. If you guys are reading the tea leaves, it's going to come down to this. There was one group in the United States that is threatened more than any other group, and they will turn to violence in a heartbeat when they feel they are marginalized. That's the white guy. The only group of people that have been stacking ammunition and have gone to violence, be it shooting at a former president, shooting up a school, in most cases, that is always what? A white guy. So now this working class hero stuff isn't working. The corporations are doing this and they're bringing in all these people. What do you think is going to happen here in America? Possibly happen. You guys better look at your history, because when you don't give the dog a bone, he eventually bites you as you're eating on your table of plenty. So something to think about.
Yes, indeed. All right, so let me go back to some of these other questions. Let's see here. Alex, yes, he says Iran just sent missiles to Israel. You said great sarcasm. Yeah, it's jumping off there in the Middle East, and it's going to get worse. You know, just hold on to your britches. That's all I can say. Fee, thank you so much for the donation. Love and appreciate you. Says, if everyone got fired due to AI, then how will anyone have money to buy products? Is everyone supposed to be an entrepreneur now? One size fits all. So, like Donovan just explained, the rise against the machine. It talks about that in the Communist Manifesto, right? The machine obviously is that of the 1%, the ones that owns the means of production. Then you have the proletariat, which is the working man, right? After a while, the machine just figures out a way to keep reinventing themselves and making the worker more and more obsolete, because they don't care about the working man. I think that's what people don't understand. They don't care if you go become an entrepreneur. You got to remember too, before what happened. Now this is where some of my education is starting to come up, because I ever take some classes, you're like, now why ever would I need that? So before the Industrial Revolution, what did people do? They did bartering, right? I got some chickens, and you're a blacksmith. You can make, so people bartered. There was really no need for cash. It was kind of almost unheard of, right? Then you have the Industrial Revolution. Then you're bringing in these corporations. And then what happens with the Industrial Revolution? They rob the everyday mom and pop, the small businesses, right? So you think about it in modern day terms, Walmart, right? They're like the machine. It is said that their heirs make combined more than the 99% class, right? The 99% of us, their heirs make more than us combined, right? So Walmart is the machine, the mom and pop liquor store there before the Industrial Revolution, right? And so this machine is snuffing them out. So perhaps, see, but we're, as consumers, though, we're past that, right? And look up a man by the name of Edward L. Bernays. He is considered like the father of public relations, but with that, he taught these corporations how to turn people into consumers. So now we're at a point where consumers, we want it right now, right? It's a microwave society. We're not before like we were before the Industrial Revolution, where I can wait to bake a cake and sew a shirt, and we just wait on it. Right now, we want everything done really fast. So you think about the nature of something like Amazon, where you can order something right now, and in 5 hours or even less than that hour, depending, it'll be at your door. Now think about the consumer. The consumer is not wanting to go back to waiting for a month or whatever to get their stuff, from China or whatever it is. They want it right now. So right now, you think about the machine. The machine is like, Edward L. Bernays' vision has come to fruition. People are like drug addicts when it comes to being consumers. And so now the consumer cannot live without that machine. So are we as consumers, this is the ultimate question, are we as consumers willing to deviate from corporations and start doing business again with mom and pops? That is the question.
Real quick, you keep saying like, they want it now, they want it now, they want it now. So those 2 minutes that the brothers be giving to the ladies, that's according to what you've been saying.
Ladies, we're going to need a robot. I'm just kidding. All right, so who else came on here? I see some other people. Let me go back really quick. Miss White, how you doing? Tamika, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Okay. And yeah, so Thunder, I saw you saying, so a trash man got beat down. Was he trying to cross the picket line? Like, what was going on there? I didn't see that. I have to look and see what's going on, but that's crazy.
And here's the thing about the mom and pops that I want you guys also to remember. A lot of the mom and pop stores during the pandemic, we already lost a third of our wealth in 2008 during the housing crisis, correct? So they've dismantled that part. A third of all Black wealth was taken during then. During the pandemic, they said that almost half of Black mom and pop stores were closed. They were just closed up, and they have never come back. Do you see how they have and all of this has happened within the last 30 to 40 years? Do you guys see the systematic dismantling of Black wealth that is taking place? Thus, this is why reparations is so important. So if you're like me and you're from California, you're like D, who's from California, and you see what these Black bootlicks did here, we couldn't even get a vote. It's paramount now. The only way we are going to catch up to everybody else, we are 235 years behind a white person who's actually behind an Asian in wealth. It's going to take us 235 years. I don't know about you guys. I don't have 235 years left in me to enjoy the fruits of what my labors are and what my ancestors' labors were. That's why it's very imperative. That's why these Black bootlicks, it's one and done. If they don't go in there and do the job, it isn't just California. California is now the blueprint of what you guys should be looking at in regards to what's going to happen in your state and in your local city and your local town or whatever. California is your blueprint and says, hey, if we don't step up now, this is what's going to happen with us. If they're dropping migrants in your community, that's what they did here in California. It's one and done. So when you guys send somebody that looks like you to represent you, to bring tangibles, if they don't do it in that first term, get them up out of there.
And Stevie said, yep, I watch all the mom and pop businesses just disappear. I'm telling my age, and mine too. And that's why when a lot of times when Walmart pops up in neighborhoods, you have a lot of people protesting because they're like, no, they're going to snuff out the mom and pop businesses. And some of them have been around for decades, right? And that's usually what happens. So the other argument is, oh, they're going to bring in jobs. They're going to bring in jobs, but it's like you're going to harm the people of the community that makes the community, right? And feudalism, and to that point, Jesse, Sigmund Freud was Edward L. Bernays rather was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and together they got together and figured out how to play on the psyche, if you will, the psychological aspect of the masses to turn them into consumers. So that's why we have what we have today. But good point. Thunder says, question, is there a ratio for when people spend a certain percentage of their income on food? That's when the riots and uprising starts. Well, what we're doing now, you would think it would have started now. There's people who are spending a good amount on their food. Obviously, rent takes most of that, right? But going to the store, it's hard for a lot of people. It's like, what do I get? Some people aren't even not getting what they could afford, a couple of years ago. They're having to really decide, do I get this? Or do I get that? Carmen, how you doing? Miss S, how are you doing today? Hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Did I say hello to you, Rain? If I didn't, hello. Marjorie says it's a vicious cycle. That's for sure, Dimitri. Yeah, but when you don't know, you like, that's why as in the nation, it says study history. If you don't study history, then you don't understand why we are where we are, especially as far as consumers. I'll give you a perfect example. There's a great documentary on YouTube. It's a 4-part series called The Century of the Self. And they gave an example how back in the day, before consumerism became a thing, women would bake their own cakes, but then they ushered in Betty Crocker. All you had to do is just crack an egg and put some oil. And women revolted against that. They're like, there's no way I would serve my family that. That's gross, right? But then they started to make all these commercials and these advertisements, really, right? Because this was even, I think, before television, but all these advertisements of women, just imagine how much time you could save. Oh, you could go do this. And so then the women start to say, you're right. But before it was unheard of for them to do that. So when you know history, then you understand how we got to where we are now, right? Tia, to you, how you doing? Jojo Jones, she says $10 loaf of bread if the dock situation don't get solved. But this is the other question, Jojo. How many people know how to bake bread? Do you know how to make your own bread? That's what they used to do before Wonder Bread came in. It wasn't always a Wonder Bread. It was always, I wonder how much bread we need to make today. Right? So when did we lose that? In Donovan, your mama know how to sew. When did we stop learning how to sow and bake and grow, right? Donovan got 1,400. He got a whole orchard in his backyard of fruits, which, I might just be like, hey, damn the docks. I need you to send me some fruit, brother. You know what I mean, Donovan?
No, you just touched on exactly what I was going to say. When did we stop basic self-preservation? Yeah, some of you guys got these really nice homes and you paid $300,000, $400,000, 2-level, 3,000, 3,200 square feet, 4,000 square feet, right? But when I go to these people's homes, Demetra, I don't see one peach tree. I don't see one, sustenance tree, a fig tree, something in case crap happens. Back in the day, it was common sense to be a homeowner. You're going to have some kind of tree of life just in case something happens. When did we get away from all of that?
Right. But that's the question. Are we going to get back to that? And hey, Miss Sweet, did I see that it was your birthday not too long ago? If so, happy birthday to you. Tahada, hope I said that right. Says nothing happened in California, so nothing will happen here where I'm at. And I think maybe you're in California. Oh, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. It's gonna be. They said it could have a global effect, right? So it just all remains to be seen. I think that's how he said. He says, I also live in California because of that BS behind reparations. I become politically aware and active. There you go. And now with some action, right? Avenge the answers and how you doing? And yes, indeed. Diane, how you doing? So this is why it's important rather to have our goods and services made in America and abroad. Yeah, because a lot of stuff comes from China and other places, right? How is it that 75% of our bananas come from out somewhere outside of us? I guess, but I don't even eat bananas. But now that we can't get them, I'm probably like, yeah, well, I want a banana.
I happen to have a couple banana trees in my backyard. But anyway, you guys, there's an old saying. He that feeds you is the very person that can starve you. He that houses you is the very person that can evict you. Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's why it is important we do for self. And I'm not even a Muslim.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Do for self. What can you do on your own? Like, are we so dependent upon corporations that we just can't do anything? Are we so dependent upon everybody else? Because like I said, Donovan, that is a great example of somebody else feeding you. What if you can't go to the store? You're going to starve. Do you know how to go dig up some dirt? And Thunder has been really good about reminding us, hey, store your food and water. Get prepared. Like he asked a minute ago, how many people knew about this and were prepared even before this was going to take place? That is the question. The time to prepare is not when the chaos is going on. That's called being reactive. Reactive, not proactive. Proactive is, hey, you know what? It's coming. We don't know when, right? But I want to, like Christians, for example, the rapture's coming. The rapture's coming. You better get ready, right? Get ready. But in the meantime, you're partying, you're sinning. I'm talking about from biblical standpoint. I don't go to church, but I'm just saying, you're doing all the stuff that's going to send you down to hell. But then you're thinking, I got time. The rapture ain't going to happen now. I'm going to go twerk somewhere, and then it happens. And then, you didn't get sucked up or however the rapture is going to happen. I don't know.
Even the Bible, if you believe in the Bible and you're a Christian, even the Bible preaches during the great times and how everything is going great, you're supposed to be saving money during that time because everybody's going to be spending and doing what they're going to do. You save your money for when the famine comes. Have you guys ever noticed that when there's a recession or something like that, or a housing crisis, who makes most of the money during that time? The rich folks. They swoop in and get homes for little or nothing. That's the famine time that the Bible talks about. For those of you that go to prosperity preachers, that's the famine that they talk about. That is when you're supposed to be purchasing homes and stuff like that, so you get more bang for your buck. But no, we get caught up in the, hey, girl, I got this $800,000 home here that I think you should go ahead and buy. And we buy it because your neighbor got one, your friend got one, your mama got one, and you want to keep up with the Joneses. And then you wonder why you don't have any money. I've got friends right now that make over $250,000 a year, and they're broke. They can't go on trips. They can't do anything, but they have all the toys. And I'm not saying that makes them bad people. What I'm saying is when the famine comes, they're starving.
Beautiful sunlight. How you doing? Said Demetri, do you know how to make bread the kosher way? I'm not quite sure how it's called, but yes, I do know how to make it. I actually know how to make it to where you can do it on the stove in a pan, right? You do the dough and stuff, let it, rest for a while or whatever. You make it to whatever shape you want, and bam, you got bread. So I know how to do that.
You guys want to know what's crazy? When I used to date back in the day, even when I run across women nowadays, that are cooking at home and stuff, there was always somebody remember back in the day, I don't care what home you went to, everything was served with cornbread. Everybody put a pan of cornbread out there, and that was always either sitting on the stove for you to snack on or eat or whatever, but there was always cornbread. You don't see that stuff no more.
Yeah, and Tia, you're right. It says I do know how to make bread, but you have to go to the grocery store to get all the ingredients. Yeah, go on and get you some flour, some yeast, flour, yeast, salt, or whatever it is you're gonna put in there, but at least go get that stuff and water, obviously, right? But we should have that stuff on supply anyway. That's what our ancestors used to do. And when I say our ancestors, I mean even, my mama, my grandmama, they have flour and stuff. It's like, child, let me go and put some of this together, make some bread or a cake or whatever, right? The ancestors, they didn't even have it written down. They just okay, bam, you got a cake, whatever the case is, right? So yeah, we got to learn how to do that. But yeah, we can't be saying, ain't no bread at the stove. Do you got some at your house?
Yeah, how many of you guys remember that cornbread would be in that aluminum foil? You just go that foil,
right,
open that foil up and grab a piece.
Right. I mean, cornbread, cornmeal, and all the other stuff that go with it. I don't too much eat cornbread every once in a while, like a holiday or something. Miss Esther says we stopped self-preservation when they told us we would do better in corporate world, working for others, but all we did was give up our last link to self-sufficiency. There you go. There you go. You're absolutely right. You know, Steven says the only mom and pop stores run by.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The only thing about giving up our self-sufficiency and stuff, this is why our kids are so sickly, because we're not cooking at home. We're not breastfeeding, those of us that can breastfeed, you know, correctly and stuff like that, because we're putting all this junk in our body, the weed and the drugs and stuff. This is why our kids are coming out maimed. And I'm going to say that. They're coming out maimed because their brains aren't developing, because they're not getting the nutrients and the sustenance that they're supposed to be getting at home. But now that everything is getting expensive, and I woke up the other day thinking about this, I hope this makes more people start cooking at home, because even though I've got coupons and stuff when I go out to Subway or something on a NFL Sunday, even the coupons to me now are it's still too expensive for me to go out there and have to use coupons. I'm like, I got to start cooking at home. I could get more at home. So hopefully this will get everybody back to the basics.
Oh, absolutely. And Steven says, I've been stocking up since 2012 now. That you probably got a lot of stuff. It sounds like it says the NOI makes it. So yeah, if that's what it's called, I know the NOI is very big on kosher food, if you will, which means it's made with the absence of any pork products, or not even made on things that, you know, as actually the Jewish cook like that as well. Their stuff is considered kosher. NOI, in fact, recommends that you go to Jewish stores for like your meat and things like that, because they have the same belief system as far as food is concerned. Let's see. Rainey says, Donovan, get to canning. I want some mason jars of fruit. I want some homemade banana bread with walnuts. Hope you have a walnut tree. He probably got some back there. CJ, how you doing? Says, facts, I'm grateful. I bake and make.
Well, no, actually, I live in the desert, and you got all kinds of. What do we have out here, Dimitri? We got walnut trees.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit, but I heard you say walnut trees. Let's see. Average logical thinker, did I say hello to you? If not, hello. He says, yes, I spent $250 on the groceries and supplies because of this port strike. It's gonna get worse. I mean, going to the store now is like, I wonder how much I'm gonna spend today, you know? And if you're like me, I've cut back a lot of things that I buy, because I just kind of I'm eating a little bit differently now. But even with that, it's like, man, because I'm one of those people, I don't like to go to the store and just buy any old thing. I use the Yucca app. So sometimes you're going to spend a little bit more money. But even then, I found myself cutting back on a lot of stuff, right? It's like you got to mortgage off your kid or whatever to even before going to the store. Double A, how you doing? It says homemade biscuits. Yep. I like people are going to have to get, industrious and tap into those home ec skills. Like I took home economics when I was in junior high. I learned how to do a lot of stuff. Yeah, a piece of right. So people are going to have to tap back into that. What do you know how to do? Do you know how to build something? Or whatever it may be. Do you know how to fix things? Sew, cook? Like those are the home economic skills. I remember when I was going to school, like I said, mostly it was the girls that did home economics. There's boys in there too, but the boys did wood shop and auto shop, where they learn how to fix on cars and stuff. I don't even know if they do that kind of stuff anymore, because like I said, people want to go work for corporations opposed to having their own businesses where with the trades that they learn. Marcus, he says, did you discuss the
I'm sorry. And no shade to ladies. If you have a son, and I know he's your little baby and he's so cute with his nice braids and you don't want him to mess up his hands, you better get that young man out there to get some mechanical skills, because what you're doing is you're making him less of a man, which means that little hooker girlfriend that you don't like, that's what he's going to attract, because he can't do anything else but pay money out to a chick that just wants to spend money. You need to let him make that son take some kind of auto mechanics and all that other good stuff. And I'll give you a better example. I was a pretty boy growing up. Dimitri will tell you, I had it like that. My mother would not let me go into the military because I did not know how to work with my hands. And my mother was smart enough to know you need to be able to do something with your hands. And sure enough, and Dimitri will tell you, yeah, I became an aircraft mechanic, all that great stuff. I was able to come out of the military, tear down my house to the structure, and rebuild it to make it economic and efficient. So, ladies, I know you love your sons, but if you really love them, you make sure that they can do something with their hands. Because guess what? These Hispanics and stuff, they're coming over here with skills and they're building and stuff. They're not going to, hey, if your son can't do no with his hands, you know what he's going to do? He's going to take his money and give it to the Hispanic guy to come and work on his house when he should be doing it himself, or hiring within our community another Black person to do it. So let that young man be a man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Shiloh, how you doing? Says my wife put me onto the Yucca app. Only wise people utilize it. You best come get this knowledge. Yeah, we be in the store all the time scanning. I'm like, these people probably think we work here or something. Like we scanning prices or whatever. Marcus, he says, did you discuss the author of Project 2025 endorsing Kamala? So much for that fear tactic. I looked that up, and it says, from what I only briefly looked, so I didn't really go into it just yet. But it says that that's not true. But I, like I said, I just glanced at it briefly this morning. So I said I was going to look more into it to see if it's true. But if it's true, yeah, that the conversation needs to switch, huh? So, because that goes to prove that if that is true, which I don't know that it is, Project 2025 don't care who's in office. They want that agenda to go forward. So they can no longer say that's Trump's, because that's what they've been saying, which he's been saying that is not mine, right? So very interesting. Let's see. All right, we've got about 4-5 more minutes. Diane says, during biblical times, flour, salt, water, oil to make bread. And yeah, and salt back in the day was expensive, right? That is how they said Mansa Musa amassed most of his wealth, the wealthiest man in the world. And some people say if we were looking at his money in today's time, he would still be considered the wealthiest man in the world. But a lot of that came from salt. It's like they say in the Bible, salt of the earth, worth your salt, because salt it was like gold, right? And sugar as well. But speaking of salt and oil as well, those things you could do wonders with that. But it's funny how we take those things for granted now. Mike, how you doing? It says bread is so easy to make. All you need to do is let it rise and bake. Yep, that is the rising part, right? Like, I want the bread right now, but you got to let it rise. Pop, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. And Diane, you says they're busy running McDonald's, Burger King, Popeyes, fast food places, and young women these days can't cook. I'm not saying they all can't, but most can't cook. No, you ain't lying. Most of them cannot cook, cannot boil hot dog water to save their life, So yeah, I mean, just the fundamentals of learning how to cook. People should learn how to do that. But they're going to have to learn eventually. And I saw somebody mention YouTube. You can learn how to do a whole lot of stuff on YouTube. Hell, I mean, you probably can learn how to do brain surgery if you had to. I don't know. I wouldn't advise it, but you probably could. Micah said, I spent $66. All I bought was a pack of drumsticks, some water, and tea, and a can of tomatoes. Right. There you go. Like, what the hell? Tracy says, buy bread flour if you can. Right. Yeah, bread flour. But if not, the other flour works too. Shirley says, I cut back a little and started losing weight. I didn't want to lose, right? And that's the key, and a lot of people are going to start, we're going to get back skinny again, huh? This is the age of excess, right? Everybody has all that they want, they can eat, all you can eat. But with people cutting back, I'd imagine a lot of people are telling that story. I'm losing a little weight here, and some people saying I don't want to, but sounds like that's the way it was in the Great Depression. People were losing weight against their will. Benzie says, not unless they go to trade school. Yep, they should go to trade school. It's a lot cheaper than college nowadays. Tracy says, I got kicked out of home economics, but excelled in shop. Yeah, that was your strong suit, right? Jesse says, home economics, they stopped teaching that when I was in school, Demetria, in the early 2000s. Yeah, I was in junior high. In like 1983, 1984. So that's when, I was taking it, right? Even in high school, they had home economics and things like that as well. ROP, where they taught you a lot of those skills for free. Your average logical thinker says, I'm trying, Donovan, trust me. I try to show him everything. So you're talking about your son. Absolutely. And yes, indeed. Pop says, I was done with home mechanics when they wanted to teach how to cook chitlins and rice. What kind of school was you going to? You, dog, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. It says, word is born. Shiloh says, kudos to Donovan on his journey. Quite a story you shared. Please consider distilling your knowledge into purchasable formats. All right now, Donovan. Miss S says, both sons and daughters need to develop skills, construction, plumbing, electrical, etc. I totally agree with you because you might not have a man around. And what can you do on your own? Trust me. My daughter and I have learned how to fix broken windows, air conditioning pipes, you name it. You just learn how to do the stuff, change batteries,
EV car batteries, all that stuff.
all that. You know, you ain't got a man around, shoes. You better Rosie the Riveter. I'm just saying. Zip Zoom, he says, check out how the president of the International Longshoremen Association said how he was strangled this country. He showed did. And you know why he could say that? Because he'd been there, done that. He was there working in 1977 when they went on strike before. So he knows how to pencil whip the nation. And he's right. The dots are kind of, if you look at it, they're like the cardiovascular, the bloodline, if you will, of the country. If you think about how that system works, it disseminates product all throughout the country, right? And when that clogs up, it has, think about the body, right? You have a heart attack. So he's right. Is he wrong? He's absolutely right. We have the power by not crossing over this picket line to strangle the country. We have the power to do that. So give us what we want. And they are not wrong for asking for what. Imagine if, and I listen, I don't get myself in trouble because I used to work at Frito-Lay and I was like, yeah, let's strike. It's like you might not want to say that too loud because you get fired. So I learned the hard way. I didn't get fired, but I'm just saying, sometimes people got to learn how to take a stand. Sometimes you got to learn that I'm not going to be able to buy everything I want because I'm in solidarity with, the rest of whoever. And think about in terms of what the longshoremen are doing. Imagine if Black people did that with the economy, right? Farrakhan has asked us for years and years and years, boycott Christmas. Imagine if Black people in America boycotted Christmas 1 year. The message that was sent. If we 1 weekend a month said we ain't spending no money as Black Americans, we're going to stay home. We're going to stay home. We're not going to the movies. We're not shopping. We're not going here, there, everywhere. We're staying home 1 weekend a month. Imagine how much we would get. But see, we can't do that because Black people, unfortunately, we are consumers to a fault. We are more consumer oriented than we are production oriented. Just 1 weekend a month. If we did that, woo!
And who taught us to be consumers? The very generation that is causing all of these problems now. And I know people don't want to hear that. And that's not all of them, because we know some people, you're not in positions to make those decisions. But the fact of the matter is, the baby boomer generation is the first generation that rebelled against tradition. What was tradition? I'm not saying going out there and fighting for civil rights wasn't important. That was something that they had to do. But like I always say, the only people that benefited from civil rights are the very people that fought it. Now, it's no secret to me that auto shop, economics, and all of these things, boys clubs, girls clubs, whatever, that 4-H club, and all these clubs and things that were beneficial to the society. This generation made a decision to cut. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. But these are the very things that they benefited off of. I'll give you an even better example. Do you guys realize some of the cartoons that we grew up on, the Tom and Jerry's, the Heckle and Jekyll, the Mighty Mouses, the Hanna-Barbera type cartoons? They have the Three Stooges. They have deemed that too violent. The kids can't handle it, but yet we grew up on it, and everybody else prior to us grew up on it. And we seem to have turned out okay. And then we wonder why our kids, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being sensitive. You can be sensitive. I'm a sensitive person because I got cats. Obviously, I'm a sensitive person, but at the same time, I know when to switch it on to be violent and to be self-preservation and to make a stand. And I'm not blaming the baby boomer generation. I'm just saying these decisions that they had made have been catastrophic for the Black community, especially.
Miss Sweetie says, what coastal areas will this dock strike affect, or let's say affecting? It's affecting all the way from Maine through Texas. So all of the coast there from Maine, which is at the top, right? If you look at the coastline, from Maine all the way to Texas. So everything that's on the coast that has docks all of those, from understand Philadelphia, Jacksonville, Houston, and a whole host of other ones in there. 36 docks in total, about 50,000 workers. So think of how massive that is.
Now, and you also got to think about this. In most of those docks, in that area that has been cordoned off, who are most of the dock workers? A lot of white people. Here on the West Coast, very few white dock workers. Very few. Mostly Hispanic and whatever else is going on. But on those coasts, again, what did I tell you guys when I came on the program? The most threatened group in this country and marginalized group are white males. And when they feel that they are not being listened to or things aren't going their way, bad things start to happen. So again, be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but like y'all said, just if we just did it Christmas or 1 week in a month, say we ain't doing it. We nobody can make you buy something, right? As much as we can, don't shop, don't do nothing. Friday through Monday morning, don't buy nothing. It is just our weekend a month to just shut it down. Man, they be like, what y'all want? What you want? Just let us know what you want. Because we spend. Black people, what we gonna do is buy. I don't care what it is. We're going to be out there. Like I said, if y'all think we ain't got no money, just go to the mall any given weekend and just sit. Don't buy nothing. Take your own snacks if you don't want to spend no money, and just people watch. And you're going to see it's going to be a lot of us in there talking about, we broke. I ain't got no money. What we going to do? Oh, you got it when you're going out to the club, when you want to buy an outfit, or, whatever it is.
Get your little weed every week when you're smoking in the park, watching your kids.
And that's your business. But I'm just saying, you think about the things we spend our money on. Pop says they took all the good cartoons off, claiming they were violent. Yep. But look what they got going on now. It's violent.
Right. But remember back though, didn't at the end of those cartoons, it taught you a lesson? There was always a lesson to it. Look at what they're programming our kids to do now. Shows about nothing. No end result, no learning lesson, no nothing. How many of you guys remember, and I'm a Catholic, but remember that show on Sundays on KTLA, Demetra? It was David and Goliath with the clay kid and the dog.
Yeah.
Hello, Davy, and stuff like that. Always had a message at the end of it. Yeah.
Yep. CJ says, just get somewhere and sit down for 1 weekend. I mean, I think we should probably try to really make that a thing. 1 weekend a month, Black Americans, don't you spend not nan dime. Sit home and imagine how much closer we would become, right? We sit home and, get together, talk, read, watch TV, something like we used to do, right? I'm 53. I don't remember my mama in the damn mall every week, all day long, buying. I don't even remember my parents, my mom especially, going to the store every day. You got some people go to the store and eat now. Yeah, eating out. Some people, like somebody said, they eat out every day, all day long. They like to cook is rare. Mama, you cooking? I didn't even know the kitchen worked. That's how much people eat out nowadays. And so I don't come from that. I come from watching my grandmother, my mama. I come from that. I got your.
Oh, they were enslaved. How dare they be enslaved?
Nah. But we were healthier. We have more money. Whatever the case is. I come from the generation of I got McDonald's at home. That's the generation we come from. I got your McDonald's at home. Eddie Murphy talked about it. He says, I don't want that McDonald's though. Mama got the bell peppers coming off the burger with the regular bread. But nowadays it's like, shoot, that sounds like a good ass burger. You know what I mean? So we just got to get back to that. You ain't got to spend no money. Stay home. Stay home. So I'm just saying.
But Demetra, didn't Brother Muhammad try that when it came to these nail shops and sisters getting jumped on? And what happened to him? There's always going to be that group of people that's going to say, we ain't going to listen to y'all. Nah, it's always going to be. But that doesn't negate us from trying.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some people who ain't going to do it. But, it is said that if we kept, because right now, say we keep 3%. I know we're going over time. Donovan, we were supposed to be coming back here at 5. I don't know. Are we coming back at 5? Okay. If we kept 10% of the money we give away 3%, 97%. But if we just gave away 87%, keeping the 10, It says we could build and own and operate more businesses. Like we would be so much better off just with 10%. Raise it another 7%. We would be better off. But we got to start having those conversations with each other. CJ, like you said, sit down somewhere. We don't need to go nowhere. We go, like black people always going somewhere and going to do something. Always sit down. Okay, stay home. Put you some lawn chairs outside in the yard. Make it some nice lemonade or whatever it is you're going to do. Pop up some popcorn, make some burgers or whatever at home. Don't go out and spend nothing. Unless it's with black businesses. If you can't do that, then don't shop. We just need to designate 1 week in a month. I think we could get that going. Maybe I think about trying to get it popping, on and popping. And believe it or not, y'all, how I started doing what I'm doing now is was because of Farrakhan. This is like during the Christmas season. He says, don't shop, right? That's not black people. Don't shop during Christmas season. So I did a video and it went viral. And I was like, oh, I could do it. Little old me. They like what I said. And after that, I was a video making heifer. And I'm serious, right? So I think we could get something like that going. And how like that ain't hard. Or is it? And Bobby says they had PSAs at the end of the shows. Yeah, those cartoons, right? Don't do drugs. Don't smoke. Yeah, all of that, right? So yeah, CJ, no man, I ain't got no McDonald's money. Tyria, how you doing? I hope I said that right. How you doing? And James, he says 30 hours of labor per week, 81,000 to 140,000 per year. Can I be a dock worker too? I mean, you can be, but why would you want to be cheated? Because that's what the issue is. We're being cheated out of the profits that the corporations are making. And we're also don't want automation to come in. So you could do that, but you know, I think they deserve to ask for some of that profit. If without the workers, there ain't no profit because them CEOs ain't gonna have their ass up on the dock unloading all that stuff. Kim, how
you know
you
what's
doing?
crazy? Wait. I mean, do you guys want to know what's crazy? How many of you guys remember in the 1970s when you went into an airplane, there was 5 people in the flight station? I want to say the other word because we might get flagged. There's 5 people. You had a radio operator, a navigator, a flight engineer, and the 2 pilots. Now, people in aviation like myself, we've been telling you guys for years, if it could happen to us, it could happen to the other thing. And what happened in the aviation industry was automation. So now how many people do you have in the flight station? 2 pilots. They got rid of the other 3. In the 1970s, being a pilot was the 3rd highest paying career field behind a doctor and a lawyer in the United States, being a commercial pilot. These guys were making 6 figures back then. The average commercial pilot now might start at, if he works for Southwest, 40, 45,000 starting with a cap of probably $80,000. The plane basically flies themselves. And we were talking about the different pay scales that would happen. And then when the corporations took over most of the airlines, this is what happened. And now we're seeing this stuff happen across the board due to automation. And nobody stopped it because back then the ticket prices were low. And you guys didn't care now, right? You get a lot of airlines out there. Now, how many airlines do you have? Not many. This is why the ticket prices are high. But if you have lower training costs because you don't have that many people in the flight station and not actually doing it, why do the ticket prices keep going up and up and up? This is where we're at right now, where the corporations are crushing the consumer, regardless of automation is going to be cheaper and all this other. Look at Detroit. They don't even make cars up there anymore. Let's think about it.
Absolutely. Al talking about what she talked about John Amos, the life of John Amos today. I don't know if we can mention it. I don't know if we're going to spend the whole show talking about John Amos. Of course, y'all know that, yes, John Amos did pass away today, the beloved father of Good Times, James Evans. It's funny because somebody called me today and said John Amos died. What do you think I said, Donovan?
Damn.
I did. I said, damn. No, for real. I shouldn't be laughing, but I mean, come on now. I just think that was just too obvious, you know? But yeah, so I don't know what we'll talk
Yeah,
about.
but but that goes to show you influential Black shows that really showed positivity within our community. I'm tired of seeing shows where the father is in jail or he's absent, or the mother's out there throwing tricks or she's taking the weight of the family and stuff. I mean, we needed to see, and we still need to see, more positive types. I wasn't a Cosby follower because they didn't broadcast that overseas, but a Felicia Rashad and these positive things, and Black people not living in a hellhole, they're living in a nice home. We need to see these images.
Absolutely. So yeah, we can. I don't know what we'll talk about. That's in 2 hours, guys. Hey, Georgia Rose, how you doing? Yes, Beverly White, rest in peace. John Ames, GP, how you doing? So just got here. I got back from the doctor. I had a paid leave due to workout injury I sustained a few weeks ago. My boss told me I can't return to work until I'm cleared with a doctor's note. Well, whatever it is, you rest easy, brother. Don't go hurting yourself worse than you already are. Yeah, and Demario, how you doing? Says all we have left now is Bill Cosby and Julius from Everybody Hates Chris. And Bill Cosby, he up there in age. I think he's even older than John Amos was, right? Fee says, and for years I had no idea why Martin's mother did that. Oh, you didn't? You didn't know why she was dead?
Yeah, she had held it in during all the repass and all that other stuff. And, once everybody was gone, and I think a lot of our moms do that when they lose their spouse, they cry in silence.
Man, so he died on August 21st, and they just now announced it. But you guess what? Everything ain't your our business, right? And how you doing, Renz? Everything ain't your business. I ain't got to tell you when my daddy died if I don't have to, right? So I get that. But yeah, anyway, hey, brother Don, how you doing? He says his doctor was pre-recorded. Yeah, actually what it was I decided to come on here. I was gonna be on here half an hour because Donovan was busy. And he's like, you didn't send me the link. I was like, fool, you didn't respond to my text. So I thought maybe you was, tied up somewhere, not against his will, obviously, but then again, maybe so. I don't know. So yeah, that's why we're here, but we're going to be back in like 2 hours. So y'all come on back. I'm sure we'll talk about something politics. I don't know. I see what's trending out. There's a lot of things going on. But if y'all have some suggestions, I'll wait about a minute to see if y'all have any suggestions of things to talk about. I know somebody said John Amos, but I don't know if we can spend a whole hour talking about John Amos.
Yes, and let's not forget about Dikembe Mutombo, died of brain cancer. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, cancer. He's 58 years old, had brain cancer. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, he had a tumor like 6 years ago. And the funny thing about Dikembe Mutombo is when I graduated Embry-Riddle, his nephew, who was sent from the Congo to study at Embry-Riddle, was graduating in the same year I was.
Yes, Mr. K, all the smoke combos on there. I watched it and it was like watching paint dry. Honestly, there was nothing to talk about. She said the same old things they gave her. It wasn't even a softball. It was like a ping pong ball interview, if you will.
Yeah. Well, think about this one thing she said on there. Like I said, I went to sleep. She goes, well, if your mother raised you guys as Black girls, why are you all in this Hindu stuff and you don't do anything Black that anybody can verify? But yet your mom raised you as Black girls. How can an Indian woman raise girls as Black when all she knows is how to be an Indian? But I digress.
Right. Miss Sweet, she says, Cardi B, women cheating, Cardi B.
Yeah, that's nothing new. That's nothing new there. All third of births are not the fathers are not the father. Pete Rose, which is very important because we grew up in the 70s. Mr. Charlie Hustle, the original one. I think it was dirty the way they did this man. He did the crime. He did the time. This man should be in the Hall of Fame.
We would argue, baby. We as she said on Lackawanna Blues, baby, we gonna dance. Cause I disagree with you. I disagree with you about Pete Rose being in the Hall of Fame. Of course, he was betting against his team as the manager. I disagree with that. I disagree. People are all up in arms. Oh, it's unfair how Pete Rose is done. Why? Why isn't it? We don't have to get into it now, but I totally disagree with you. Colin Kaepernick ain't did nothing to nobody. He's being punished even to this day. He said he's ready to play. He's practicing every day, 5 a.m. and he's being punished. But Pete Rose, he broke the law. Pete Rose doing what he did.
But he wasn't a player. We're not talking about as a manager, as a player. We're talking about he should be in there because of the player.
No. But it was worse. You are the manager, betting against your team, It's like insider trading. It's like, so you had to drop. So as a manager, I think everything you did before that should follow, because look what they did to Reggie Bush. He got his Heisman back now, but they stripped him of his Heisman because he was getting gifts. Now it's legal for the NCAA athletes to get gifts and payments and stuff like that. So that man, but what if the NCAA we're not allowing them to take stuff and payments? He will still be punished. But I like I asked somebody who was having this conversation with me earlier, are we feeling sentimental about Pete Rose? Is because he, right? I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying, for me, and I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is the qualifications for the Hall of Fame as a player has nothing to do with Heisman. So that's college stuff. I agree with you on that stuff over there. But for the Lawrence Taylor, right, on drugs, messing with prostitutes, he's in the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? It's these, what is the requirement for the Hall of Fame as a player? What he does after his career is over, it doesn't matter if he's a manager, he could be an owner. Has nothing to do with him being a player.
Look at the hard time they gave T.O. Look at the hard time he got, right? Now you think about Lawrence Taylor, the stuff he did was to himself. Pete Rose did it to a whole organization. You have a fiduciary responsibility as a manager to make sure whatever you are managing is unharmed by outside forces and definitely by yourself. So for people talking about he should be put in, why? Look at all the other people who maybe it wasn't in MLB, baseball, for those who don't follow that. Maybe it wasn't that, maybe it was something else, but why is he special? I think that's the question we need to ponder. What makes him any different than anybody else that suffered a consequence, or all the other players, Barry Bonds, right? All these other players that got asterisks on their name because they was doping. They don't dope no more. Can we make an argument and say, well, they're not on dope no more to take the asterisk off of their names?
That's a good point. Maybe something we should talk about in the next hour. That's a good point.
I mean, I know all about sports.
But the all-time hits leader in baseball, and he did not get into the Hall of Fame? I mean, didn't he pay the price? I mean, the guy is dead now, so he can't even get in. I mean, if you're given a punishment and you meet the requirement of that punishment, shouldn't you be free to vote after that once you've served your time and all this other stuff? That's a good question. So we'll probably get into it.
I'm just saying, Fee, you said, yep, T.O. should have been in much sooner, but they judge him off of his antics. You know what I mean? Did it harm morale of the team? Yeah, I'm sure that it did, but did he really break the law or do anything that was really, you know what I'm saying? It was about behavior. I'm not saying behavior shouldn't matter, but we're talking about him being blackballed for a long time, or football, I don't know, for a long time. But Pete Rose, all of a sudden, he always pour him. Nah, he did something horrible. He did. Had he not got caught, would he have been contrite? You know what I'm saying?
Probably
did it
not,
cost this team something?
But he did get caught. He accepted the punishment as a non-player. I mean, he's a manager. Like I said, I see what you're saying, but the point is, he, unlike a lot of people, he admitted his guilt. He accepted the punishment. I think the man should be on the Hall of Fame just based on the fact that he, as a player, did what he had to do, and all-time hit leader. He's an all-time hit leader.
Yes, Donovan did start this because I said we don't want to do this. Listen, if you don't know nothing in life, as long as you know how to read, you will learn a whole lot. I remember following the whole, Pete Rose thing and this big old controversy and, all of that. But now that he's dead, RIP to him. I mean, he was one of the greatest to ever do it. We're not going to say that he wasn't. I don't think, I get the argument that, when he was a baseball player should be different from him being a manager. But I'm sure as a manager, you knew you assumed the risk when you decided to gamble against your team. Anyway, hey, Alonzo says, you're right, Donovan. Pete didn't bet against his team. Okay. Anyway, we'll be back. See y'all at 5 p.m. Central Time. Peace.